Hello everyone, I'm Sidival and today we continue reading World and Economica. Hmm, so, previous stream was, uh, as I remember, pretty long and pretty interesting. Um, Haru and Hagana actually started working together and, oh, wrong button. He stopped on the moment when Haru already starting explain Hagana everything about stocks, but then it was end of the day and now it's new one. But it seems like conversation about stocks are gonna continue. So okay. Mm, I mean, let's just start read right away. Teach me what comes next. Hagana spoke while holding a terminal and looking at me standing at the door. While Lisa made breakfast, I answered Hagana's unending stream of questions, occasionally getting uh, disoriented. There were plenty of things that I only faintly remembered, or had just heard somewhere and learned briefly. Hagana seemed to believe that any new vocabulary might become a hint, so she was constantly questioning and entering things into the terminal. Deriving a proper solution required proper assumptions. Hagana's way of thinking was very mathematical. I have one last question. What? When those words came out of Hagana's mouth, I was stuck, slumped, exhausted in a chair and facing the ceiling. Let's say I come up with a way to predict the future using math. Sure. And what would Hal do? It was a pretty cutting question. But now, not one I hadn't thought about. Sorry. Yeah, strange. We only start reading, but mm, for some reason I feel like my reading abilities today a little bit worse than usual. Don't know why. Mm, like this. Well, still. Anyway, if you find the perfect solution, I am useless to you after all. But right now, there are 40 days of trading. Adapt, you'll suddenly come up the answer. Sorry. Adapt, you'll suddenly come up the answer upon the answer tomorrow. So until you find it, I'd probably be of use. You'll tell me how you think the stock price will move in the future using your map. And in my own way, I'll make decisions based on the method that had been making money for me. If you both think that it's going to work, doesn't that sound strong? Of course, if you later come up with the perfect solution, I hunched my shoulders and joked. Then why don't you manage my money? I don't believe that Hagana would suddenly find the ultimate answer to something that people have searched over 100 years for. But I think she might get someplace uh, that was good enough, and that good enough should be able to bring in an amazing amount of profit. Plus, with just winning this contest, it'd be a great boon to this church, Hagana herself and myself too. Nan's Blanca, frighteningly intelligent eyes looked at me and blinked. Then, shifting her gaze quickly, she spoke. Got it. Which part? Both. Hagana answered, and then drank the coffee that Lisa made for breakfast. Long cold. I predict using math. You were going to decide using your own way. And if I'm right, I'll increase Hal's money reward. Haha, exactly. When allowed, Hagana half through her nose. It wasn't that she was ugly, but she had that disagreeable part to her, so she probably just didn't feel like louching out of politeness. But the contest comes first. We've got to win this. Yeah. If we don't start today, we won't be able to use the full 40 days. Today, I'll just trade on my own. Then that's okay with you. I don't mind, but what? If I have a question, can I ask? It was a surprisingly meek way of asking. And now she was still glaring at as she always did. There was something different about it. What? And I replied with that. Hagana furrowed her brows angrily and spoke. When you're in front of the computer, you don't look like you listen to the people, to people talking. And I also really hate having something bother me when I'm thinking. So I'm asking if I can still ask. Are you stupid? It seemed like she was about to add the familiar words to the end of her sentence. Instead, I just smiled naturally. For Hagan to be worried about something like that was like a miracle. Yeah, it's probably fine. Probably? Hagan's face darkened more as she asked. I spoke in a bit of mean tone. If you get close in the wrong way, my hand might just move on its own. I swung my arm in the air. Hagan apparently recalled when she had accidentally hit Lisa in the face yesterday. She made a really disgusted face, but the stubbornness quickly returned. When that happened, I'll hit back. Yeah, that shan you kicked out is still swollen. Hagan winced and looked like she was about to cry for an instant. The way she would do things and then regret them later. Hagan was definitely like a kid when it came to anything worth studying. So, when you're getting my attention, do something more than you feed. Hagan gave me a hard glare before nodding slowly. Got it? Great. And it's about time to trade. I went back to facing the screen, while Hagana sat on the other side of the table, looking at me. Hey, you want to watch the trading? Hagana hesitated a bit, then nodded. When I had look around on the night before I had, I learned one thing. The investment contest virtual marketplace had a number of strange stock symbols. For example, the name ranged from things you could more or less guess what they did, like farmer products or material addresses, to see simple symbols like A, B, and C. On the net, there were plenty of there was plenty of theories, from them not finishing with the contest in time to how there must be a reason things were named that way. Also, information that would be written for one stock often wasn't written for an hour. The stocks that I looked through weren't those strange stocks, but the ones that seemed to be copying stocks that actually existed. It seemed that everyone else was also choosing to trade on the more approachable stocks, and there was lively trading at great volume of the stocks with familiar symbols. The instant I began to trade, I opened a number of browser windows. While getting at the price moments, I kept switching windows until my eyes started to arc. I wasn't grasping those moments precisely, but when I tracked multiple prices at the same time, I could start to see a kind of pattern. The stock moved quickly. This one reacted slowly, or it's reacting to the exchange rate, or moving with the index. I started to see these kinds of little quirks. What I latched onto the most was stock that moved with the indices. And in this fictitious to read this one. 1 second. Fictitious. And in this fictitious market, just like the real ones, there was indices prepared that let you get a free for the general market sentiment. For example, in the real world, among the stocks shown on the Lunar Stocks Exchange quotes, of course, 150 would be chosen. Their price average into the what we called the Lunar Stock Exchange Price Index. This expressed the overall price movements on the market and was an important reference for stocks trading. In the fictitious market, an average of the more important stocks was taken and updated in real time. The stock I found was a simple one that chased after the index when the index would go up or down. I had no idea who was doing it, but it was probably a pattern that someone traded on the index using some information, and then everyone else noticed and followed. That stock was a fictitious bank, and its fictitious accounts were extraordinarily good. It's quite grandiose to say it, but it felt like that the price had gone up too far. Essentially, it was becoming a struggle between the guys who think the price will drop and the ones who think the price will keep rising. And that kind of struggle had a bit of complicated system around it. In stocks, you could trade with the cash you have, or you could trade on credit by buying on margin or short selling stocks. For example, if you bought on margin, you'd borrow money and trade for more than you're worth. You only have 100 moves, you could borrow 200 moves and buy 300 moves worth of stocks. Then, if that stock went up 10%, you'd get 30 moves in profit. At the end of the trade, you'd just return the 200 moves borrowed. That would mean that you earned 3 times the profit compared to using just 100 moves. And of course, if you lose, it's the reverse. There was also a way to sell on credit. There you didn't borrow money but borrow stocks. For example, you'd borrow some stock and sell them for 100 moves. Afterwards, the stock dropped to 70 moves. You bought it back. As you did that, you'd return the shares you borrowed. And you had felt the spread between the 100 moves you got from selling the stock and the 70s you spent buying it back. Using this method of short selling, you could profit even if prices were dropping. Of course, if the prices went up, then you have to buy it back at a higher price and you'd lose. The amount of margin buying and short selling was normally shown publicly. If everyone thought a stock would go up, then margin buying would decrease, whereas in the opposite case, short selling will decrease. On top of that, margin buyers would eventually need to sell, and short sellers would eventually need to buy. Plus, in life, borrowing came with interest. Money or stocks, it didn't matter. Thanks to that, if a stock that had been sold short a ton had a steady price for a long time, then the people being born by interest would have to buy shares back in the near future, and there would be a chance the stock would go up soon. That was how you'd think about these things. The stock I had found had quite a bit of volume, both on margin and short selling. It was probably because the price moved violently. Relatively speaking, there were about double the number of short sellers as margin buyers. So there were more people praying that the stock would go down. In most cases, betting with the crowd was how you lost. The reason was because the one who had already sold short The reason was because the one who had already sold short had put their trade out for the world to see, and their opponents were looking at that before deciding. The guy who would last in the rock paper scissors would win. When looking at the trading records from yesterday and day before, the fact that the daily trading volume was increasing was a good indicator. It tricked off everyone getting together and plotting a way to ruin the day of the short sellers. The more short sellers there were, the more stock would have to be bought. Then the price rose to a dangerous point. And then the price went through the roof. The slower their short sellers were at buying back their shares, and thus the greater the damage. All of them would start buying, and the price would explode. This was a situation called a short squeeze, but no one knew when it would happen, nor whatever it would happen. The fact that the short interest had been filling up meant that stock was being bought for that much, and the buyers might be running out of money. If people weren't running on the possibility of the short squeeze, then the stock's price would naturally decrease. When it failed, the margin buyers would get affairs of losers and start selling. When that happened, it plummeted for fewer. Alright, okay. Sorry, I still feel like I struggle reading today a little bit more than usual. I have no idea why. I mean, I just hope it's not too bad. Anyway, so yeah, we are going again get a lot of information about stocks and stuff. I mean, there is nothing like super hard to understand. But I not gonna be lie, I don't try to memorize everything what's going on here. I mean, maybe I should since it's visual novel from about economy, but I don't know. I kind of still just more interested in casual things. What's just going, sorry, what would going on between characters and stuff like this, and just in general, like if they would succeed or not. I mean, they should, but who knows. Anyway, the further the draws, the more tuned the buyers got. The end result was that the short sellers would win. Ultimately, I thought of stocks as this kind of mental battle. Information about the company was important, of course, but I felt that it was all about deciding in the midst of the market sentiment whether the bulls or the bears were strong. Those guys would buy a stock and hold it for 5 to 10 years. I think it was good to look at the performance of the company. But even if you did that, it takes 10 years to finally have the stock price increase 5-10 times. Meanwhile, if you just build up 1% profits every day, in 10 years it'd be an amazing amount. If I was going to fulfill my dreams of governing the riches of the moon, this was the only way. I latched on to the stock and read the market sentiment. The sellers were in the lead, and looking at the board where buy-sell orders were posted, there were a number of large ones on the selling side. Because the sell orders came up on the top of the board and the buy orders appeared on the bottom, it felt top heavy, as if it was being pushed downwards. Even now, the price looked like it would collapse, but it didn't. It just wouldn't go down. They were probably false orders. The orders were displayed on the board, and though there was no real intention of completing them, the orders were placed to put pressure on everyone. When there was a huge number of orders on the selling side, everyone would think that the stocks was about to go down. So then sales started happening and the price would start going down as expected. It was ostensibly illegal. Don't know this word. I mean, I can guess what its meaning. Okay, I don't think it's first time when I see it. I hear or see this word. Okay. It was ostensibly illegal, but there was no way to prove it. Because they could just say that they changed their mind and cancel their order. But if someone with a lot of capital managed to see through the trick, I keep staring at the stock. I might be staring at it for 2 hours, when right before 12 hours 10 minutes PM, at the point that felt like the lowest price of the slowly declining stock, I bought 1000 shares at 267 moves, a bit under 27 moves. It seemed like a lot, but compared to all the available capital, it was a tiny thing. It wasn't so much I aimed to making money, but more like buying just to check. Anyway, I don't remember how much money they start for. I believe we was told what all people start with some sum of money, but I don't remember which it was. Anyway, a while later, the morning training ended. However, I didn't take a break. I had to check on the moments of the other stocks that I had earmarked. Holding the mouse, I opened an hour window. It was then what my eyesight suddenly shook and my body felt caught in the earthquake. What? Apparently someone was shaking me by the shoulders. Are you doing that on purpose? Next to me, Hagan had on an extremely suspicious look. You could almost say that she looked worried. I looked at Hagana for a while, then shook my head to the side. Nah, did you call for me a few times? I did. You weren't even blinking. I thought you had passed out. Oh, that explains why my eyes are dry. I closed my eyes and gave a big stretch. Popping sounds came from my neck and back. So? Huh? So, what was happening? Why were you staring at the same screen? You are both peering at the laptop screen together. Hagana was very close. Moreover, Hagana apparently had a habit of putting her face close when she was being serious. Hagana sent left it over in time with her movements, and I pulled back hurriedly. It was something like Lisa's, but yet an altogether different sweet scent. I had a feeling that it was something I shouldn't be inhaling. Especially when I was in the middle of training, when I had to be alert. I have to explain everything. Please. I had told her to speak plainly when she was asking for favors. To Hagana's direct words, I gave in and explained my decision criteria as best I could remember. Partway through, it didn't look like there would be enough time, so warming up the pill from the lunar Chinese restaurant where Lisa worked, I ate and explained it. In general, Hagana's face was throwing not because she didn't understand my explanation, but more because she didn't know how to express it numerically. Plus, there was a more direct issue. So, what is this sentiment thing? I don't get it at all. Sentiments, well, the fall. What do you use to determine it? Well, for example, trade volume, info about the company, and the sentiment of. Hagana gave an exasperated look at my circular explanation. If I could explain it properly, I would. But if I manage to explain it and you finish your theorem, then you won't need me, right? That's true. So yeah, things like that, until you don't need me, can't I be the only one who understands it? It was a pretty cheap reason, and Hagana face made it obvious that she thought so, too. However, I wasn't trying to hide it on purpose, and it seemed that she understood at least that much. Saying, um, saying I quickly moves spoonfuls of pillow to my mouth. You lost in that trade just now. That would mean your thinking was wrong. Well, in the end, just look at the results. But, but, at Hagan's question, I looked at the computer screen that wasn't showing moments. I'll probably win. Why? Sentiment. Hagan made an ugly face and glared at me, while I smiled a bit. I wasn't just saying I would win out of pride. His talk just reeked of sketchiness. Not something I hadn't smelled in a while. The feeling of a big play. How about we run it up some more? Yeah? What? Letting you use it all isn't right. I won't be able to use any. I want to use it up. Then how about we each use 5 million? Okay, so I guess they they have 10 millions in total. As I spoke, I moved the mouse and was about to trade. Gal was the one who stopped me. That's also not right. If my theorem is correct, I should be using more. But you don't have a theorem yet. That's why it's not fair to use it all before that happens. I won't use that much. Plus, there's the smell of a big play. This will work. I'm going to add on more orders. This time Hagan stopped me by hitting my hand. I want you to explain. I can understand if you say sentiment. What was then when I got angry and raised my voice? Oh, shut up. I said this is going to work. Based on what? Gut feel. Hey, before you start questioning my decisions, why don't you first finish your theorem? The two of us were banging foreheads and glaring at each other. Suddenly, Hagan's eyes shifted to the window. When I followed suit, my eyes met those of Chris outside of the window. She probably had come by in the middle of delivery. She had her fists clutched on her chest, and her eyes were glued to us like she were watching a sport match of something. When Chris' eyes met mine, and Hagan's shrunk back reflexively. Our eyes looked for a few full seconds before she turned around suddenly and ran away as fast as she could. Her face was bright red, so it was obvious was kind of a misunderstanding she was having. Oh shit, get out of the way. Shit, get out of the way. What? Shut up. Jumping up from the chair, I ran to the window, but I could already see Chris' bags on top of the roof of the house across the street. When I had asked in the town what Hagan liked, he seemed to like that kind of talk too. Hanging my head like I was factoring off a headache, I put my hands on the window frame. Did you have to talk to Chris? Hagan asked a simple question from behind. Well, I had to talk to her to clear up this misunderstanding, but that felt plenty stupid, so I got up. It's nothing. When what was that? Because of the look in her eyes, it sounded suspiciously like she was making me look like a fool. But there was no doubt that I was a fool, so I just sat back down and spoke. She ran, so I felt like chasing. Huh? I see. Hagan tilted her head slightly, then nodded, as if she acknowledged that such things did happen from time to time. In the end, I promised that I'd use only 3 million moves whichever way I wanted. However, if my asset management was good, then I could move up to using half. Later, finding an opening and adding my previous purchase, I ultimately bought an extra 3,000 shares at the average of 266 moves each. I beat under 100,000 moves. If this were the real world, it would have been an earth-breaking number. But it was fake money, so it wasn't scary. I was just thinking that there was a 2 and 2 million move reserve left felt reassuring. If I used margin, I could triple that capital, but I felt that it was too early to do so. Putting leverage on trades should only be done when it's the right time. So until the end of trading at 5, I bought and sold 2 other stocks. Both were stocks that had large intraday movements, which drew people like me who was looking to make a profit. They were entertainment companies with lots of risky things on their books. During the contest period, they'd announce various fake movies, and they'd roller coaster up and down. It was the same as real life. I like companies that made things that was in every store, like toothpaste. No one really knew where things would fall. So it was essentially gambling. It was all about how well you could read the market sentiment. Steps that come and not be greedy while gathering pennies. Pennies. Uh, anyway. Uh, for example, if a stock was averaging around 100 moves between 97 and 103, you'd buy at 98 and sell at 101. You'd make more if you sold at 102 moves, but at 102, the guys who bought at 103 might not be able to take the pressure and sell, so profiting was quicker at the lower price. Couldn't buy at 97 moves because if the price actually dropped down that low, everyone would be afraid it might drop further, and suddenly the buyer would pull back and the price would fall through the floor. Then that happened what was once averaging around 100 moves could start averaging around 97. That kind of trading going back and forth took place in a matter of minutes, extending to perhaps 50 minutes at the most. During that time, I switched screens constantly, using certain criteria to search for stocks that I hadn't looked at yet, getting at the price movements, news, financials, or the economic situation. If I got time, I'd look at the mix of lies and truths amongst net chatters. It also had effect on real trading. So in the small universe of the investment contest, I figured it must be more so. Finally, with 50 minutes left of trading, I checked all my orders. With the exception of that suspicious stock, I sold our positions without registering any losses. I did that because in the stock market, downs looked in the last 10 minutes. In those last 10 minutes, everyone killed their orders, and it'd be hard sometimes to complete trades. There were tons of strange deals geared for that. I had once seen a sounding company in a takeover battle that had been hitting the daily price gain limit repeatedly, and 1 and 4 million buy order came in. For stocks that everyone was fighting to buy, the available sell orders would be divided amongst the buyers according to the lottery after trading closed. Since a stock that hit the daily price increasement limit had high chance of going up, the people who believed the stock would rise the next day put in buy orders to participate in the lottery. Since the more orders you put in, the higher the chance you'd win the lottery. Tons of orders were put in. Then, 5 minutes before the end of trading, a sudden order for exactly 1 and 4 million shares, valued at 200 million moves, came in instantly, throwing the stock into limit for a daily price drop. The trading lines were jammed in the 5 minutes before closing, so there were people who noticed the irregularity and even then couldn't cancel their order. When placing an order, disclaimers for these types of situations would appear by default. Thousands of people were cast from heaven to hell in the final moments. Later, it was revealed that one of the investment funds that had invested in this company had sold every last share of their stock. Demons looked in the last 10 minutes. At the time, just by pure chance, I was sad because I hadn't put my hand in. Since then, except for trades with special reasons, I always close up 50 minutes beforehand. At 4:48, I closed down my position except for that one suspicious stock. After that, I watched the remaining stock position closely, checking to make sure the demons didn't come out. I knowing that it was a futile thing, I set up an order to liquidate. All that was needed was click a button to send it. 4:58. 4:59, 5 on the dot. The world of numbers came to a stop. Phew. Giving a sigh, I leaned back into the chair for the first time in hours. Slowly, the feeling of the fresh blood flowing through my brain came, ending the day up 120,000 moles. In the end, I had used 2 million moles, with 800 left, part in the sketchy stock. It was a fine result. Since I had access to the full 10 million moles, I probably could have brought in 1 million. From the start of trading, profits had been pouring in constantly, at a violent pace. This could work, it might just work out. As I thought that and sat up in the chair, I noticed that Hagana wasn't next to me. Huh? I was sure that she had been next to me after lunch. When I had been training in a days, I had valued recollection of being asked some detailed questions. I had constantly tried to answer, but maybe she got annoyed at my lame replies and got up. What was a reasonable explanation, but I soon noticed as I stood up. Hannah was lying down on the sofa. But you're sleeping. When I gave an exasperated mother, Hannah's eyes popped open. What? I wasn't sleeping. What? You're going to say what you're thinking with your eyes closed. When I said that, Hagana furrowed her brows, closed her eyes slowly, and spoke. I feel sick. Huh? Oh, the screen makes you dizzy. Hagana nodded. When I originally started, I got dizzy from the windows of living constantly, and sometimes I went to the bathroom to throw up before continuing trading. Hmm. Until I got used to it, my eyes burned, and I saved trading screen even with my eyes closed. Furthermore, the dizziness and headache were awful. I gotten used to it now, but it wasn't agreeing with Kagana right now. You okay? You can't tell from looking. Are you stupid? She seemed to want to add that, but apparently she was really feeling sick and didn't have the strength. You want a drink? No, I said I'm sick. Blunt. I feel that drinking something cold when you're feeling queasy can be refreshing, but I didn't say it. I shrugged and went to the coffee maker and filled the cup with the last dregs. There was only half a cup, but I loaded it with milk to fill it up. At this rate, you're away from getting what I mean. Then I said sentiment. You made a profit. If your eyes still closed, Hagana changed the subject. I did. How much? 120,000 moves. Of course, it's with fake money. If it were real, well, I wouldn't be able to stop laughing. But if I had 10 million moves at my disposal, just making a 1% profit would be 100,000 moves. That's how the world worked. The rich got richer. But even if I made 1% every day, I wouldn't be able to catch up. Really? The guy on the top is someone with that stupid name, Mr. Trochet or something, that now with 23 days of training, he has 49 and 52 million moves, up almost 5 times. How is he doing that? No clue, but I think he's the same type as me. Type? He makes a ton of trades over and over. However much a company can skyrocket in 40 days, at best it double, maybe triple. However, making 1% on a single trade isn't difficult. You do it 10-20 times every day. If you don't do it that way, you can't get quintupling your money in 23 days. Makes sense. That or from the start he went full on. Full? What's that? I taught you about buying on margin, right? Full on is doing that full throttle from the beginning. Essentially, every trade you always put everything you put behind it. If you did that, you'd always triple your returns. And why isn't Hal doing that? I knew what she was doing to ask that. Things don't go well, you're also 3 times as likely to lose your pool. Don't you get it? a loss of 10% of normal trade becomes a 30% loss. 30% loss become a 90% loss. Hmm? Hmm. When that happens, it's impossible to stay calm. When you start losing it, it's human nature to start shooting for instant reversal. But profits work the same way. You think, right? There's no way that the numbers would work out that way. I'm not talking about that. I left it and set the coffee cup down. I closed my eyes and recalled the time when I had gained uh, to 20,000 moves in an instant. And then when I put everything behind a single stock, it got stuck into a horrific drop. If I had delayed the decision a few minutes, I wouldn't have gotten caught in that drop. While watching the price drop every second, I was half in fears, firing off orders to close my positions. In the end, after 20 minutes, my trades executed, and the 20 moves had dropped 40% to 70,000. Totally, it was still 8 times the 2,000 moves I had started with, but that wasn't comforting, and I feel like I had a huge loss. It was the moment I learned that regardless of how much you started with, whatever your money dropped under the highest point it ever reached, it hurt badly. On top of that, the pain and frustration lingered with you. It was so bad I had written a warning to myself on paper. I stuck it to the computer. Don't fall into despair. If you keep doing what you're doing, the money will keep growing. To trade with 3 times the money, you've got to have 3 times the guts. In that case, yeah, Hal shouldn't be playing with that. What? When I looked at Hagana in irritation, she still had her eyes closed, but a tiniest hint of smile was on her face. A joke? When I started, Hagana thought she were a dog that had suddenly started talking. She got up slowly, feeling well enough to get up. Oh, but I got lectures. Oh, right. Forgot you were a teacher. Hagana nodded, and then someone somehow managed to get up and walk unsteadily. Hey, that's dangerous. It's fine if you're a bit late, right? Hagana was stumbling around like someone in the dark, so I got up from my chair and grabbed her hand. Hagana didn't throw my hand off, but also didn't say thanks in response. It's not fine. However, if you could teach calculus, then it'd be no problem. Then there's a problem. Plus, I have to go. Everyone has dreams. Dreams? When I asked Hagana turned just her eyes to me. When she slid her hand out of mine and walked off, watching her walk sadly to her room to get her things, I muttered, dreams. There was no other words that felt as out of place as that one if it came from Hagana's mouth. I just I just stood for a while at the table waiting for Hagana to come out of her room. After a while, her footsteps much steadier. Hagana came back, holding her back. What? Hmm? I sat down in a chair and spoke. Have a safe trip. I imitated Lisa. Hannah's eyes widened in surprise, then looked away in distaste. But even so, she squinted at me and replied, I'll be back. Hannah quickly turned around and left the front entrance with great strides. Great strides. Looking at her retreating back, I felt like I got a sense of why Lisa liked to dot on Hagana. The next day, the next time skip, okay. The next day, when I went out to eat breakfast, Hagana came out holding her terminal. It was annoying listening to Lisa's scolding, so I finished breakfast quickly before focusing on the screen. Hagana may or may not have thought my actions were a brilliant idea, but she was about to get scolded by Lisa too, so she put her terminal away. Now, instead of staring at her terminal, she was eating her bread with bigger bites than usual. But even so, Hagana wasn't stuffing her cheeks full like grease, and in the end she finished it in about the same time as usual. At that point I started trading. Today Hagana wasn't watching next to me, but kept fiddling with her terminal at the same table. I had copied the data from investment contest official page, so she was using that as a basis for her thought experiments. Lisa didn't have her part-time job today, so after she was done with the housework, she made coffee for me, cocoa for Hagana, and then she started reading on the sofa. Today it was a book about a geologist who was nicknamed Dr. Angelicus. So the training today continued much like yesterday. Often a stock that yielded sorry. Today will be a short stream and not как previous one, because I think I will start reading a little bit better while stream progressing, but I'm not completely sure, and I still struggle a little. Don't know why. Maybe it's because I count cold or something, but I don't really feel like it. Strange. Anyway, let's continue. Often stock that yielded profits once would continue to yield profits. The only real difference from yesterday was that I put a bit more capital in. That sketchy stock was hanging around 272 months today. It was headed a bit upwards, but the short sales were piling up forward. Piling up. In the morning market, I managed to pull in 90,000 moves of profit of the stocks I profit on yesterday. That left me with a net gain of 210,000 moves. It wasn't bad, but hopelessly insufficient. The instant the morning session ended, I was full mounted. Shit. Sitting diagonally across the table, Hagan looked up. It's fucking shit. You lost? No, I didn't. If you won, why are you angry? It's not enough. That's a problem. Hagan nodded seriously. I got annoyed and asked, well, how are you doing? I'm studying. What? Necessary things. At that I've wrinkled my nose. What's necessary? Looking at the internet, there are theoretical models for stock prediction. What? Right now, I'm analyzing and learning things I don't know. The theory is also fascinating. Wait, you can download these things on the net. You can. I couldn't bring myself to believe that, and was stunned. Why would something that would make money be on the net? If it could really predict the price of stocks, then everyone would be profiting. What idiot put it there? Wait, show me. I told Hagana as I leaned across the table. Hagan's brow narrowed, but she turned the terminal around. What's this? An academic paper taken from the author's name. It's called the Rich model. Let's assume that a stock price moves essentially randomly on short time scales and follows a normal distribution. Huh? However, because today's stock price is influenced by yesterday's price changes, we use that as a condition for the conditional probabilities to deliver today's price. When integrating the log normal distribution over a fixed internal, you can obtain the expected value of the fluctuation for a given interval. Stop. What? I get it. I get that I have absolutely no idea what you're doing. Glance brows forward, she looked at me, then back at the terminal, and tilted her head. And also, I looked at what you talked about yesterday. Well, I was just about to start shivering over how she really was a genius, and barely put words together. Charts? Using full swings this way is much simpler to calculate. On one hand, saying how the calculation was were simple, while they were using the word chart with so little confidence. The gap was enough to make me laugh. And they talk about the golden cross. Gold? Golden cross. When the moving average starts turning upwards and the daily price movements are starting to cross the moving average line. I wound up sounding like I know it all again, but Hagana looked totally confused. Was more out, I continued. To be honest, it's a pattern that used often in chart analysis. I don't really know the words, but the idea is super simple. Yeah, because charts analysis is easy to understand. I don't really hate it, but I've got a feeling that it's not that useful. You just have to put the statistics out and derive the probabilities. If the probabilities are in your favor, all you have to do is trade a batch and it will come to the expected value. Well, that's true. You can do that? Yes. Anyone who can do arithmetic can. Arithmetic? Now, it was my turn to ask questions. Add, subtract, multiply, divide. Hannah's eyes narrowed as she looked at me. It was bad enough that I wondered if she thought I was an idiot. Adding and multiplying. No one calls that arithmetic, I thought to myself. But well, if I knew which had a better probability of working, wouldn't that be a help, I guess? Yes. So, which ones look good? When I asked, Hagana gaze fell on the terminal. I was surprised because I thought she had already finished the calculations. However, Hagana didn't move. Just as I started to form questions... Just as I started to form questions, Hagana finally lifted her eyes from the terminal and looked at me. To answer that, there is a problem. Huh? It was something I really realized when I was thinking of a different model. What is it? Hagana looked down and mumbled. I can't program. What? When I asked again, Hagana lifted her face and glared at me as she spoke. I can't program. And if I know how to calculate, doing it all by hand is stupid. And there are things that you just can't realistically calculate by hand. Ah, that's true. But what was a blind spot in the plan? And though Hagana had amazing math abilities, it didn't necessarily mean she could apply it. School problems you can do on paper. But in the investment contest stock trades, there were thousands of stocks and each had a ton of information. As I was clutching my head, suddenly a voice came from the sofa. Someone said program. What? When I turned around, it was Lisa. Well, yes, I did. I don't really know much, but programming, I know someone who's good at that. So I'll introduce you. Really? Come to think, Lisa did graduate from the Lunar City University. Someone like that must have connection to genius that I couldn't even imagine. Why I feel like it will be a guy from Internet Cafe. Also, let me a few seconds I pour some water. Okay. Yes, I think that person would help you. And I've been wondering if there were any way I could help you too. So I'm going to make sure you get help. Lisa gave a bright smile, and my face soared a bit too. I'm not doing this all because of you. Really? Suddenly, sitting across from me, Hagana spoke. Hagana turned around, glaring at me. You're not doing this for Lisa. What do you mean? Why are you want to get angry? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? While I shrank back from Hagana, who still looked on the verge of flinging her thermal at me, Lisa stood up and stretched a bit. Hagana, what's being considerate of me? Right? It was embarrassing under Lisa's bright smile, so I turned my face away. If you're laughing, don't say it, I thought. So introduction would be better off sooner than later, right? Well, then I'll go talk to that person. Evening is best, right? Yeah, anything after uh, 5. Okay, got it. I'll go make dinner then. With that, Lisa went to the bathroom and then stood in the kitchen. I shook my head and looked back at the computer, while Hagana sat in front of her terminal and tilted her head. The afternoon session was a steady advance, swinging 2 million moves around, each time earning 2% profits with a total of 60 wins and 2 losses. In total, 23% percent up. The only point of regret was that if I had cut losses faster, I would be had better performance. But even then, it had been a while since I'd seen these kinds of numbers. Up with 520,000 moves, adding to the 120,000 yesterday, that was 640,000 moves. If that earning 10% of 2 million would have yielded uh, 200,000, but with 2 and 7 million, 10% would be 270, meaning I could earn an extra 70,000 moves. Just like that, through the power of compounding interest, money grows. I wish it could go like this in the real world, but I knew it was probably impossible. In the imaginary world, a few tens of thousands of participants were each given an imaginary 10 million moves and were forced to trade with all their might in 40 days. What I learned while training was that everyone was training hurriedly. Because of that, the stock movement grew big, and ultimately, if you could just ride the wave value, you'd make a ton. In the real world, everyone was a lot more cautious, so it wouldn't be like this often. When I gazed at the computer screen with an impossibly smug look, I got returned to the living room, apparently having gone back to her room to think. Time to head out. What? We talked about it this morning. Oh, meeting someone. I yawned and rolled my head to the sides, making popping noises. Agana said that and looked surprised. Where's Lisa? She went out. Sometimes the neighbor asked for her. Oh, what does she do? Sermons. Wallpaper. Ah, sermons. Huh? Lisa's a Christian. There's a number of people in this town like that. Really now. I had thought that all the people who came from the earth to the moon were scientific and realistic types. People who wanted to gather so much money they wouldn't fear God, or who came from the hell of knowing that there was no God. And you can't wait until she come back. Why? She told me the person name and location. Oh, I see. Then have a nice trip. As I copied Lisa's way of speaking, I returned to the computer screen. Dude, right after I did that, Hagan's hand struck the table. Why am I the only one going? Me too? Of course. Are you stupid? She finally said it. It was a pain to get worked up. So with a sigh of resignation, I got up and gave her a bit stretch. Also, Lisa said that Hal was familiar with the area. You can't even go on the errand alone. Did you say something? Nothing. Adela had been speaking while looking at a map on her terminal, but now she glared at me. I doubt she heard me or not. She had a mean look in her eye, so I was scared. So, where is it? I'm not all that familiar with the area either. The fifth outer section, 7 block, number 6, building 3, 4th floor. I have no idea if you just recite the address. Business name Big Bull Cafe. Oh, yeah, as expected. So the game guy from cafe. I mean, he was breathed out before as someone who Elisa know, so it was kinda obvious what he probably gonna be important in the story. So yeah, I mean, not like they can't traduce like this completely new character, but still. What? When I looked at Hagana, she looked up from the terminal and spoke. Emmanuel Siraud. Siraud. Had heard the name of the place before. It was this shopkeeper who was the perfect example of a lunar outcast. That guy? Is he going to introduce us to someone else? I don't know. I was told to meet with him. You know the place? I know it. I see. Hagana nodded and put the terminal in her bag. I also began to put away my laptop, but a number of question marks floated in my head. Is a guy like that really going to be of use? Hannah and I left the church together. As always, it was a dirty building. Still, this area was a lot better than the one where Lisa had her church, so Hagana had nothing to fear. There were a lot more beat up and dreary buildings near Lisa's. Hagana and I walked into concrete building covered with cracks and went up the stairs. The walls were covered with an array of sheets of paper. They were all about part-time job and loan offers. Lisa had apparently made arrangements beforehand, and Gerald wasn't a stranger, so there was no reason to be nervous. As we entered through the automatic doors, we found Gerald at the counter right by the side, fiddling with a game machine, his long legs up on the counter. Yeah, when he noticed me, he took his feet off the table, and when he saw Hagana coming after me, his eyes widened. Well, look like you found a nice girlfriend. What? Huh? She's not? Liz said so. Why? Ha ha ha, just a joke. Don't get mad. Moon scum. I glared at him, and Cyril's shoulders just shook with his laughter. From there, he looked at Hagana. He wiped, smiling and tilting his head slightly. But with friendliness. Meanwhile, Hagana seemed to get sheer. Just stiffly guarded when confronted with that friendliness. However, her line of sight was directed at Cyril's head. Maybe it wasn't so much that she was shy, but perhaps she was just afraid of afros. Maybe it sounded a little bit wrong. Anyway. So, Liz said to come here. Yeah, I heard. You're looking for a programmer. Programmer. Well, I'm not sure if that was what we want. You don't know. What's the deal? Well, Lisa did say she didn't really get it either. Yeah. I was searching for the right words to explain when Cyril continued to speak. Ah, your face looked quite a bit better than it used to. What? Yeah, in just a few days they change. It's an amazing thing. What's with you looking for a fight? I'm sorry, what's with you? Looking for a fight? Chill out. After all, Lisa really kind. Hey, did you already use your lab for a pillow? What? Lab for a pillow? Had a brief image of myself sleeping, resting my head on Lisa's lap. It wasn't a bad thing, but wait, Lisa took care of this guy too. This guy? Together with Lisa? Lisa's lap. It makes a great pillow, right? How about you, Missy? Did you try it yet? And Cyril spoke to her with a smile. Helen pulled back and tiled her jaw slightly like she was wary. But eventually she nodded. Yeah? Ahaha. You're the only one who hasn't. Well, not like it would matter anyhow. No, not really. But well, it would have been nice if it were with Earth's gravity. I'm sure with gravity's pull, I'll soft and plan and planned. No, well, maybe not. Yeah, blind. Hey, calm down, your dog. When I treated him, Cyril's shoulders shook with laughter. Calm down. You'll get your turn eventually. I'm not talking about that. Alright. Don't shout. You want a program. If it's not something messy, well, I'll give you a good price. What's that? What, you want a program, right? I was getting fed up with this and shot back. What, you're going to do it? Yep, that's right. What a problem? When I had trouble answering, Hagan looked at me. This person isn't Emmanuel Serrault. That's me, Missy. Missy? Hagan asked angrily. Serrault also shrank back in jest. May I please have your name? Hagana. Oh? Serrault nodded and seemed to place some significance in her name, but didn't say anything to her. He probably knew that she had run away from her like I did. Hagana is a strange name. There wouldn't be more than one person with it. So, I'm Serrault. What do you require of me, Hagana? I want a program from you. Nice to get straight to the point. What kind of program should I make? A formula related to statistics. If possible, numerical analysis using calculus as well. Or something that can run multiple regression analysis just from manipulating a few variables. And if you can do Monte Carlo simulations... Wow, stop there. Yes? What are you saying? The program? When Hagana answered, Serrault peered at her face. Then looking at me, he shook his head. Something for Lisa's university. It's not. Guys that kids play these days. Regression analysis and Monte Carlo simulations. Apparently the ones I'm playing. What? Seriously? Serrault sees sport at my answer, but Hagana quickly spilled the beans. Her trading stocks, I'm predicting with a map. I was trading on sentiment. It wasn't wrong, but that makes it sound like I was going by luck and gut feeling. Ah. But the word stocks, Serrault looked like he finally got it, and nodded repeatedly. I see, and so? So, can you do it? Hagana asked. Well, I probably can. Really? Serrault gave me a puzzled look at my surprise. Didn't you hear from Lisa? About what? When I questioned him back, Serrault's eyebrows narrowed. Then giving his head a light shake, he spoke. Doesn't matter. If it's not some really crazy kind of map, I can do it. And that Monte Carlo thing, well, I can probably do that too. And usability-wise, I guarantee it'd be better than some random programmer can ever do. Really? Of course. He answered Hagana with a smile. However, Hagana's eyes were still on the Serrault's afro, and she was braced as if something might jump out of there at her. If it's stocks, then there's data, right? What format? Look up the investment contest by Ratzinger Economic Research Center. You'll find the data posted there. And I want to use that to look things up. Ratzinger? What, you know them? Well, they're famous after all. I know a few people there. Wait, what? Okay, I got it. The things you want in the program, just write it down and send it to this email address, and I'll do it for you. You can bring your complaints and questions directly here through, since I'm usually in this shop. If I'm not at the counter, I'm in the VIP room in the back. Are you living here or something? Exactly. It was a bit frustrating, but at the least the programming issue was going to work out. As for payment, yeah, you can pay me when you make it big. Ralph gave a sly laugh. Hannah and I both looked at each other for an instant, but since we couldn't waste money, we decided to not for now and saved our thanks. When we returned to the church, Lisa had come back and was making dinner. Welcome home. Did you see Serrault? Yeah. You did? That's good. This is the time to depend on your connections. After speaking, Lisa quickly turned back to the kitchen, but I looked at her from behind. I recalled that exchange with Serrault. Lap pillow. It was that I absolutely wanted to try it, but I wasn't totally uninterested. When the thought occurred, before I knew it, I was staring. When I noticed Hagana was giving me a curious look, I looked away quickly and went to my room. Lap pillow. How was it? Moving my pillow, I tried a few things. Oh. And then getting fed up with how stupid I was acting, I fell flat on the bed. Okay, is it next day? Okay, it's next day. I think we're gonna stop here. I mean, I feel like mm, I did start reading a little bit better when I start of this stream, but I also feel like I'm a little losing my voice or something. But anyway, this is a good place to stop, and it's not like this. It was short stream, 1 hour, and pretty much as our most of our streams, if we exclude previous one. I will check. I mean, yeah, roughly so. We have longer streams and similar ones. Anyway, so yeah, it's all for today. Next World and Economic stream will be on Friday. But for now, goodbye. Have a nice time of the day. Definitely need to see if I'm actually watching on the screen when I'm talking. Because I sometimes didn't notice it. But I'm watching on another monitor, it seems like a little strange to me. Anyway, I already said goodbye. Bye.